Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own hectic lives, going to work, caring for our families, running a house, paying bills, that we forget these are the things to be grateful for, the American dream. In this episode of Visionaries, you'll meet people who have made their own lives secondary priorities to helping others achieve the dream. We'll meet the people of Community Access, who for 30 years have been providing safe, affordable housing, job training, and support services for those suffering from psychiatric disabilities, not to mention building the hopes and futures of those once forgotten.
One of the reasons this thing started to occur was they were looking for some sort of a model to put people in the community. This was the original dialogue, because they realized, my God, we're closing the hospitals here, and now people are in the streets. Now what are we going to do?
Community Access really pioneered this concept of supported housing, self-help, before all those terms existed.
There was a sense of life, and people didn't feel alone. I think that they felt, I think that community really made some sort of, it was more than a word, it was a physical feeling. And it made a difference for a lot of people.
Here's the front door at Stanton Street. That was our first building. The original board bought 2 tenement buildings for $5,000, and that's where I started. So we had 44 apartments and just the two of us. So we have about 600 units now and just over 200 staff. So quite a change from the old days.
In here we got the tile guys working on the bathrooms.
So this project is typical of the kinds of buildings we want to do going forward. It's fairly large, it's got 66 units, and it's a mixture of family units and then studio apartments for people, mostly who are coming directly out of shelters, or maybe they've lived in transitional housing and they need a stable place to live. So the concept behind this building, Franklin Avenue, is something we really started 30 years ago. The original board members had pooled money and bought 2 tenement buildings that had housing for low-income families and community access tenants who were coming out of hospitals and shelters. So what'll happen with the selection for tenants is the family units we're under a requirement to select people through a lottery system. We'll probably get 1,000 applications. And for the community access apartments, we'll go out and actively look for people in the shelter system and who are in transitional housing and select people who are, anxious to move into their own apartment.
I had to pinch myself. I thought it was a dream. I said, wow, what a big difference from the shelter. Well, this is my home. This would be my bathroom. And this is my nice kitchen right here, my living room, and where I sleep at, right over there. Well, my story started on 9/11 when my fiance had a stroke. Well, I struggled and I tried to keep up with the rent and at the same time visiting him back and forth. And then I couldn't do it no more, so I knew I had to do something and face the facts that I had to give up the apartment. I didn't have many options where I had to finally realize that I had to go into a shelter. It was scary, but I knew I had to go. And I said, this is the only way I would be able to get stable eventually and have my own place. I was real scared. So I felt I needed some help so I could stay on the right track. So I did see a psychiatrist, and I have a social worker that I also see, and they diagnosed me as manic depressed. So I fell into that category where I was accepted to be taken by community access. What they try to do is mix everybody, working people, people with disability, or people from the shelter. So they put them all together to try to see if it can work.
Hey, how's everything?
It was told to us that we will have mental ill people. For Micah, we will have different type of people. When they was told to us, and still into this day, it's okay with us. We feel that anybody should be entitled to have a home. As far as we're concerned, we consider 910 DeKalb Avenue a family.